Hi, Shawn. Shawn, there's a lot of talk that last year's yield play in the banks is all but over, and that the banks will experience pressure on their earnings growth for the coming year. What impact does earnings growth have on dividend yield, particularly if share prices continue to appreciate?
I think one of the biggest problems of the banks is a bit like the whole dividend yield play. It's very owned. You only had to open the newspaper last year and people were saying, come to this seminar, look about how to get dividends out of the shares, blah, blah, blah. Everyone's long the banks. I think 56% of the banks are now owned by retail investors in Australia. Historically, that's a bad sign. The average guy normally doesn't do that well. Last year we had almost a 15% pullback in the banks in September, a 9% pullback around May. I think the same sort of thing will happen once or twice this year. I like the banks, they're great companies. I mean, ANZ and Bank of Queensland are my favourite banks. I'm happy to own them, but I think there'll be opportunities to buy them cheaper. I wouldn't be chasing them here. I think the next move in rates could well be up, even though everyone thinks it's down. Certainly up in the US, they've had a big move up in interest rates recently. So, you know, the earnings growth will slow down, but it's still solid. I don't think there's much threat there. The improvement in the economy is good for the earnings growth, so I'm not convinced it's going to slow down that much. The regionals are better off. So, you know, I think buy the banks, sure, choose the banks you like the most. For me, it's Bank of Queensland and ANZ, but be very fussy on the price you pay. Don't chase them.
Thanks, Shawn.